Hey, folks, welcome back to the Cabbage Coins podcast. I'm super excited to do another episode with you guys tonight. So for today, we have a special guest. This is Matt Misewicz, and Matthew leads a Instagram page called Cackling Copper. And I was in need of a podcast guest just a couple days ago. I said, who's going to be this week? And Matthew, he reached out to me on Instagram and said, hey, I'd love to do an episode on late date copper scents. That's my area of focus. It's my specialty. And I said, yeah, I'll definitely, keep you in mind, and we'll do an episode at some point. And then I looked at his Instagram this past weekend and I said, these are incredible pictures, incredible visuals. I think these are going to be fantastic for doing some educational kind of content for folks out there. And so let's go ahead and let's get an episode done. And Matthew's super gracious to get me in his schedule. He is a graduate student at University of Wisconsin. And Matt, what's your grad degree in?
I'm currently studying, my master's degree. I'm getting my master's degree in natural resources, but I'm studying geese up in Western Alaska currently. So I do research in the summers up there, and in the off season from August to April, I'm doing all sorts of, writing and statistical analysis on population trends and all sorts of stuff across the board. So definitely an out there career, not super common, but it doesn't feel like work a day that I go and do it. So
before we get into the coins, I'm really interested. How did you get into that particular line of work or that field of study?
Yeah. So I grew up doing everything outdoors, and, with how things are going lately, we're seeing a lot of declines in bird populations and waterfowl populations, ducks and geese. And these are very important to certain groups of people. So kind of realizing there's a career path to study and make strides in conservation to help some of these individuals out in the long run. So, my kids and many generations of people can enjoy them as well. So that's why I'm doing it. Yeah.
That's super cool. I'm kind of envious. That sounds like an amazing way to spend your time, and especially you can make a career out of it.
Right.
Researching something that's super interesting. I see geese walking around locally here when I go for some hikes. I live near a corporate park, and there's some lakes, and there's a bunch of geese always around. So I might send you some pictures down the road. Say, hey, what are these guys doing? Tell me what you can tell me about these geese.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's actually where my my Instagram handle originated from. Was cackling is the front half of a goose name, of the cackling goose, and that's my focal species that I research up in Alaska. So I call it cackling copper.
Wow. Well, how long do you spend up in Alaska? And I promise, folks, we're going to get the coins, I swear, but this is just super interesting to me. So how long do you spend up in Alaska for these trips you do for research?
So we generally will deploy in late April, early May, and it's pretty much off the grid living. We have no electricity, no running water. We bring everything out to the Western Alaska coast on the Yukon Delta. So it's maybe about halfway up in the state of Alaska, all the way to the western edge till you hit the Bering Sea. And we spend from all of May, all of June, all of July up there and doing research on these geese from the time they arrive on the breeding grounds to the time they depart and raise their young. So we're spending, upwards of 3 months up there just immersed in it. So we bring everything out, build everything from the ground up. Like it's pretty strenuous, but it's man, I can't explain anything. It's more enjoyable for sure.
That's pretty incredible. There was a period of time that I spent doing horsepacking trips up in the Wind River Mountains of Wyoming, and it was a very rugged experience. And I did that for a better part of a summer and a fall. That was pretty incredible. But I'm very, very envious. So I do want to get into the coins. Of course, this is a coin podcast. But what first you got into coin collecting? How did you eventually narrow your focus over to late date large cents?
So it was I would have to say it's about 4 to 5 years ago. I haven't been in this very long, but about 4 to 5 years ago, I was developing an interest in metal detecting with a friend of mine, and was really big into finding coins at old structures and stuff like that. So that kind of is where the love for like the coin part of it, like the history. But as that developed, I started to go out and research different kinds of US, old US coins in different types, and finding out about 2 cents, 3 cents, all the things that we don't have today. And I went out to a local pawn shop in Illinois, which has since closed, unfortunately. But he would offer, like, he had guys coming in, bringing him stuff that I think he was liquidating in a state. And I would buy these coins from, they were in pretty nice shape. At least I had thought so at the time. And I just found so much enjoyment in looking at and holding something in my hands that was a circulated piece of US coin and currency that was just was awesome. And I got so much enjoyment out of that, which eventually funneled down to the large cent, and in which that's where I bought my first large cent, was at this same pawn shop.
You have a real appreciation for copper, and copper enthusiasts. They're a segment of this hobby that's all really interesting stuff to me, and I'd love to pick your brain a little bit. We're going to look at some examples of your collection. What caused you to gravitate towards collecting copper specifically?
Yeah, it was probably that the first large cent I bought was an 1857 small date. It was a Newcomb 1. I didn't know that at the time. I had it, and I was looking at it, and the details were so nice. It was a super clean coin. It was mainly the profile of Liberty. I just found some sort of perfection in it. Looking at other profiles of Liberty, like while I was doing this like beginner collecting, I just, I didn't think anything was as attractive as a braided hair large cent. And for whatever reason, I just kind of fell in love with the profile design, and the reverse design is just so simple, but it's just such a staple in displaying 1 cent with a wreath. And yeah, it's just, to me, it was perfect, honestly.
What would you say is the overall vision for, or goal for, your collection? Are you aiming for like a full date set? Are you trying to do some varieties, or like a set of like top quality examples? Kind of what's the vision?
Right now, trying to find the most feasible way to do this, I think just collecting a date set with major varieties. So 1839 head of 40 all the way through 1857, including things like 1847 small or large over small 7, 1851 over 81, things like that.
What would you say is your personal definition of a great late date large cent? What characteristics matter most to you?
Eye appeal is got to be the number one. And,
sure.
That's the reason you collect it, is if it has good eye appeal, that's what makes a good scent to whoever's collecting it. Honestly, it's, whether you're looking for a uncirculated example on the highest grade with the most detail and the best luster, or if you're looking for a circulated example that has a little bit of wear that you just find very appealing to look at. That's how I found my love for the set, was a circulated example that just was really nice to me at the time.
Let's go ahead and get started with our presentation. I'm going to go and pull this up. Okay, so I ordered these in the numerical order, in the date order. So we get started here with this 1839. This is called a Booby head. Do you know why they call it that? I don't know.
So it has to do with the way the bust kind of is related to the lower curl. It was supposed to mimic like the breast of Liberty. And I think that relative to the other heads of 1839, there's the silly head, there's the 39 over 36. So it's the head of 38. There is the head of 38. That's dated 1839. And then there's the Petite head, which is what we see carrying on from 1840 through 1843. And then we kind of shift to the mature head, which starts late in 1843 and moves all the way till 1857.
This particular example, I absolutely love the color in this coin. So what caused you to select this coin for your collection?
So this is starting off on a great note, because this I bought completely blindsided. And this is also the most valuable coin that I own. So I bought this at an auction. I bought it basically sight unseen. The pictures were very bad. It was in a basement holder. It was graded MS65 plus,
Okay.
and I figured, you know what? I would love a booby head. Especially a nice one. I'm going to bid on it. So I ended up, full disclosure, I ended up paying $660 for this thing, shipped to me. It took me like 2 months to get it from this kind of shady auction house. And I ended up getting it, and I was looking at it, and I see this distinct die crack that goes, from star 4 through the nose there. And I'm like, oh, so this is kind of the coin that really jump started me on different die varieties. So this is what we like to call a Newcomb 12, which is, on the rarity scale, it's a high rarity 4.
Okay.
Which means there are not many surviving known examples of this die pairing for 1839 booby heads. So this coin has been in hiding for however many years. It's been undiscovered. It's been unknown to the early American coppers community. This is an extremely valuable coin that I broke it out of the holder that it was in, and I sent it into PCGS, and they graded it a 58, which, you know, I couldn't ask for anything else. It's the coin itself here is just, it's such an important coin. So I have to give a shout out to Mark Klein with EAC, fellow EAC member. He's the 1839 master, and he helped me with identifying this die pairing. So this coin is just, it's kind of a one-off in my collection, but it really is, it plays a massive role in my love for attributing die varieties to large cents, and yeah, especially with one as rare as this.
Well, it's an incredible coin, and so EAC, for those who don't know, is the Early American Coppers Club. It's one of the most prolific coin clubs, I believe, in the country, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's very long standing. I'm member number 7102 is my EAC number. So I'm guessing there is 7,101 members under me.
Sure.
I know there's many guys that have been a member for so long, longer than I've been alive, obviously, and double my lifetime.
So in the case of your story, it turns out this is actually a pretty rare coin. So you got one on the shady auction companies.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. Because if you saw the episode we did on the coin horror stories, almost all of those for the Halloween special, I was dressed up as Gabagool. The story during that podcast was all about a lot of coins purchased in some of those kind of auctions, those online auctions that did not turn out to be nearly what they were purported to be, or what the people who bid on them hoped them to be based on how they were advertised. And in this particular case, you found a really rare coin. That ended up working out pretty well for you.
I guess this is like playing the lottery in some sense, and I'm up, so I'm done there. And obviously, with where I'm at now, I have no use to be, you know, buying stuff sight unseen. But this was an exception, which is, I'm happy.
All right, so moving on to this 1840. I mean, this looks like a mint state example to me. I love the mint frost that is on the coin. It is a brown example, 1840. This is a different, I noticed for sure we have a whole different hair curl down here. So first off, what Liberty head is this one? And then what else you want to tell us about this one?
So this is just a very, really nice example of a Newcomb 12. This is also a Newcomb 12, but obviously this is a completely different date, completely different die pairing. But this is known as the Petite head. This is the earliest stage of the braided hair scent profile. So this profile you'll see on coins dated from 1840 to 1843. They also had this style head on 1839. That's like I mentioned before, but this specific coin is, I thought it was very lovely. The mint stamped a small date and a large date, and there are multiple different varieties for each, the small date and the large date. I would say that the small date tends to be a little bit more scarce, but overall, I mean, finding any petite head in this condition is really tough. You don't see many in this condition. So it's a very, very lovely coin. I think the surfaces are nice. There's a little bit of original color in the in Liberty and on the reverse around, some of the protected areas, but overall, yeah, very, very pleasing to the eye.
Okay. So we're going to divert course just for a second. I'd love to ask you this question, which is, how do you get a picture this nice?
Oh yeah, it's been trial and error. So I've worked with axial lighting. I worked with main beam lighting. I've worked with tripods and I guess I should preface, I photograph everything in my line of work. So ducks and geese and everything. So I also have a passion for coin photography and trying to figure out, it's like a puzzle that usually the puzzle pieces don't fit together. But trying to make something work in the correct light and having two direct light sources on the coin to highlight the luster and also get the profile outlined nicely. Yeah, it's a game of trial and error. It's interesting.
Well, I sometimes gravitate away from copper specifically because I have a tough time photographing it. And with my business, a lot of this job and doing this business is marketing coins and getting nice pictures of them. So I might need to ask you after the podcast how you do some of this stuff. Maybe you can share a couple of your insider secrets with me. So let me just take a gander at or guess here at what our grade might be. I feel like this coin is a mint state 66 brown. That would be what I would put this thing at. Maybe even a 66 plus, or even it's nice.
I've sent a small sample of my coins to Cat Grading recently. I'm ultimately planning on sending my entire collection there, but I sent a few coins as a trial run, and this was one of those coins. This was previously in a PCGS MS63 holder. I felt it was better, and I felt that there was some conservation that could be done. And I treated this coin with blue ribbon and a very, very, very fine brush. I think it's made out of like the finest horsehair, and you can treat surface level gunk that reveals hidden luster that's kind of built up over this coin since it's been in a holder for however many years. And so yeah, I ended up getting this coin in a MS64 CAC holder, and I was very, very pleased with that.
Well, this just goes to show, first off, that I do not know how to grade copper whatsoever. Yeah, talking about the conservation of copper, and I know we're only on our second coin here of a few, but I don't know. I mean, do you want to mention just a little bit about the concept behind conserving copper? There's a lot of talk in this program about clean coins, and that's the number one topic that I hear from customers is about coins that are clean and how to identify cleaning and so on and so forth. When we're talking about conserving copper, we're not necessarily talking about cleaning it, but in a way, we are talking about removing gunk and things from the surface. How would you describe conservation of coins specifically as it relates here to copper?
I want to start by saying there's a fine line between cleaning and conservation. And we obviously want to avoid cleaning anything. We don't want to be exposing any unnatural surfaces. We want to be essentially highlighting the surfaces that are there and what the potential of the coin is given its originality.
Yeah, what we're talking about here is stuff that's on the surface of the coin that is built up over decades and decades of either storage or use. Gunk that is foreign to the coin itself. And so conservation is about removing, or as delicately as absolutely possible, those foreign substances that should not be on the coin in order to reveal the coin beneath. I would liken it in some ways, I'm sure, to conserving a painting or something that has a variety of types of damage that has occurred to, let's say, a famous work of art and so forth. A conservationist is going to try to remove whatever that has deteriorated the image and bring back the original kind of image, back to life. I think it's it's there's again a fine line with all of this stuff, because there's also, coin doctoring, and there's also trying to fix, and which is a whole different kind of category where you are
Yeah.
trying to fix problems on the coin, which is very different from a conservation approach, which is what we're talking about here. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think you could have said that any better. That was perfect.
Okay, so we have an 1843. This looks like a brown example that has a little bit of red here, kind of snuggling up against our devices. So why did you select this one for your collection?
I just thought it was very lovely. It kind of has wood grain surfaces
Mm-hmm.
running, horizontally across the fields and into the profile. And again, any petite head profile that I can get with any sort of remaining mint red is wonderful. And while you're zooming in up there, I had noticed when I had saw this coin, it's a Nukem 8, and you can
Mm-hmm.
tell it's a Nukem 8 by the die lines that are right above the stars. You can kind of see the diagonal die lines
Sure.
right above the profile and right above the stars. And that's a pretty good telltale for a Nukem 8, which is a rarity 3. If you remember, we were talking about rarity
Yep.
numbers. So there, again,
Yep.
this is a coin in which there aren't many mint state survivors. So that was definitely a good buying point for me. And then also this coin just has a great provenance. It was just a part of the Hall of Fame collection of late dates that was recently sold by Early Sense Auctions. It's Fred Borchard's collection. I think I'm
Mm.
pronouncing that right. He had just an astonishing collection of late dates, and buying into this coin and having Fred's provenance as well as mine is just another part of why I chose this one. I just think it's lovely. The luster's fantastic. There's no wear on the coin at all. It's really nice.
So when you have a coin like this, specifically, some of the main things you look for typically in coins, and this is going to come up again and again as we do these series of what to look for in various series
Yeah.
of U.S. coins is, you want to always look for luster and of course eye appeal, and strike is always up on the list. So for you, what are the key points of the strike that are make or break, points that you look for in coins? Is it
Yeah,
right above
so
the ear, I think you said? Yeah, go ahead.
it's that ear, and then so the main curl towards the bottom, right
This right
underneath
here.
the profile.
Okay.
Yep. So these are the highest points of the coin, and so you'll see wear on these generally, and
Uh-huh.
especially I guess the highest points of the coin are the ear and the main curl right underneath,
Yep.
like right on
Yep.
the forehead, I should say.
How
Sorry, I referred to
important to you,
main curl
yeah.
twice, but yeah.
How important to you are the striking of the stars? Like this particular star up here is not too well struck. Um, how important is that to you in selecting these? But this one on here is very well struck.
I would say in certain examples, it's nice to have. It's never not nice to have. But in examples like this, I don't take into consideration, oh, the stars are fully struck, only because this is a middle die state coin. So there's going to be some die wear going on. And generally you start to see die wear going on in the stars, kind of narrowing down to the center of the profile. And yeah, that's probably just what's happening here. And it just has to do with the strike, I think. To me, that's the thing that's going to take away from eye appeal the least, I
Hmm.
think.
All right. Well, so moving on here, the 1845. I definitely noticed. I mean, obviously, we have a very different looking head here to Liberty than the
Yep.
previous one. I really do like this coin. This coin is interesting in the sense of the device here of Liberty's head is very brown, but then we have some more kind of different color red and browns kind of here through the periphery. Creates a nice little cameo look, honestly, to the coin.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us about this one. I mean, this is very well struck.
Yeah. So if you look at the ear there and you refer back to the previous coin, you can notice there's a little bit of flatness on this ear, which
Oh,
I mean, I don't, it's subtle, but I mean, it's just things that you look for when you see a lot of high grade examples is, and whether this is a strike thing, whether this is if it was like slid on a surface back in the 1850s. I'm not sure, but it's, it's one of those things that just stands out. But
Hmm.
overall, this coin is, I think it's lovely. It has some bag marks to it, which I do find some attraction in, like a very eye appealing kind of circulated look coin.
Yeah.
I think it was in a 62 NGC 62 holder, 62 brown, and there's a couple spots on it, some marks on the profile, but generally, I think it's like a mid common dye variety. So it's a Nukem 6, which I think is a rarity, high rarity 2. So there's quite a few examples in mint state, but overall, I really like the eye appeal. And this
Yeah.
being in early dye state, again, like you said, offers that like cameo look. So the fields are quite reflective on this piece, and the
Mm.
eye appeal. I mean, the luster is just, yeah, it's blinding, honestly. So it's a very nice piece.
Yeah. This is very pleasing, very satisfying coin, and this is not that high grade. I mean, so is it still in that 62? Was it red brown or 62 brown? Probably brown.
Yeah, it was in a brown holder. I had broken it out. I have it currently stored in a, let's see, polyethylene bag inside of a cotton liner inside of a non-sulfur paper flip. So that is
Wow.
Bill Eckberg. Give a shout out to Bill, which is a past EAC president. He's got a great video on copper conservation and copper storage. So if you want to store your coins without them, changing the surface, since copper is very reactive to the
Yeah.
environment, keeping them inside of like inert materials in order to keep them the best looking. That's how I store my coins that are raw. Yeah.
Nice, nice. All right, so as we move on here, there's 1849. This I'm guessing is some kind of a rare dye variety or something here of this
Mhm.
particular coin. Is that
Yeah.
right?
I mean, at first glance, it's, I think most people would say it's probably the least
I
eye
was gonna
appealing
say
coin so far.
I don't want to
But
trash a coin. I don't want to
no,
say yeah, yeah. So I figured it was probably special for a particular reason. So, anyways, go ahead.
yeah. And it's not super rare. It's a Nukem 29 is a rarity 2,
Okay.
but this coin is semi-proof like fields. It's an early dye state. It has wonderful luster here, and this came out of the same sale as my 1843. I really liked the kind of even like gray and olive that were on the majority of the surfaces and in the fields. The fields are quite clean. There's a couple nicks and then remnants of Planchet slag, which is kind of interesting, an interesting kind of phenomenon.
Yeah, tell
You
us a
can
little bit
see
about that.
that
Is that
like,
what this is right here?
yeah, so that, and then there's remnants of it right underneath the star, kind of like a lighter version of the slag right above Liberty.
You mean this?
Those like
Okay.
two, yeah, yeah. So those are shallow slags. And what this is essentially is when the copper rounds are made, and this might be wrong, but if I'm remembering correctly, when the copper rounds are made, they're in cut and struck. There's some sort of material that builds up, like burnt off material that builds up at the top of the pot in which they're making the copper rounds to strike these
Okay.
coins, and I guess it's essentially like it's considered a mint error, maybe, or like a planchet flaw. To whereas all this is just air bubbles essentially inside of the copper round that weren't treated when like that stuff was taken off of the top when the copper rounds were made. So
Hmm.
if you go to the back, there's even more extensive planchet slag around all around America to the right and to the left.
Oh
Yeah, so you
yeah.
can see all of it. There's essentially just like air built up underneath there, and when they strike the coin, it just like pops out and just flakes off
Oh
essentially.
wow.
So yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon. I don't know a ton about it. I guess I'm just going off of memory on
Hmm.
some of that, but yeah, I think it's kind of cool. It's a story behind the coin, and
Definitely.
also, yeah, this coin also traces back to the 1980s. The Provenance traces back to the 80s. Jerry Bobby. Ted Nafsker is also a
Yep.
massive name in copper coins. I mean, this was one of Ted's coins. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's just great to own and great to add my name to the Provenance. And then obviously following Ted was Fred. So yeah.
All right, so moving
Yeah.
on to this 1852 large cent, and so let me just compare our heads here. Compared to, oh, it's the same. I think it's the same head. Yeah, it's the same
Hmm.
head.
Yeah.
This is a pretty pretty coin. This has got to be considered a red coin, right? Or no?
This one is this was in a 64 Brown PCGS holder, and
Okay.
this was yeah, this was and I think it's a brown coin by grading standards. With the way that PCGS and stuff specifies, 5% red in order to be a red brown coin.
Yeah.
Not many places live up to that, but I mean, this has, I would say, 5% red within the obverse and reverse. But this coin is wonderful. I attributed this as a Newcomb 20.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's an 1852 Newcomb 20. It's currently, I believe it's the finest known example of a Newcomb 20. And the reason I cracked it is because there was a lot of conservation that could be done to this coin. There was
Okay.
a lot of hidden luster. There was it was in an old blue PCGS holder. This coin just had some grime that was just building up along each and every crevice of the profile, and especially on the reverse. So treating that crud really brought the luster out to what it should be, and I really think it made a great preservation layer for this coin as well.
Nice. Well, for the sake of time, I'm going to keep moving here.
Yeah,
We're
please.
moving on here to our 1854, and so this
Mhm.
coin has definitely got some considerable mint red on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this coin is, again, it's another finest known example. This is an early die state A in Newcomb 16.
Okay.
This is a high rarity 3, so it's a rare example as well. There were previously no mint state examples of this coin, or no mint state examples of this coin possessing any original amount of red until I found this one
Hmm.
and attributed it to a Newcomb 16. And I guess the only fun tidbit I have on this, other than being probably tied for my favorite coin, is that it's in an original OGH rattler. It's a really,
Oh, very
really,
cool.
yeah, very, very cool coin, and just the holder just makes it that much more cool, I
You
think.
rarely see these coins in rattler holders. And for those who don't know what that is, we're talking about the first generation PCGS holders that are this kind of old. I'll throw up an image of one on the screen here, but they're called rattlers because for some coins in some series, there's a tiny, ever so slight clearance between the coin and the plastic, and so when you shake them, they rattle. They have the nickname as rattlers or rattlers. So yeah, you rarely see these in rattlers. I mean, how many large cents do you ever come across in a rattler holder?
Not a lot. And usually the ones that I do come across, they need conservation. Like there's gunk buildup. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the funny thing about this coin is that it's doesn't rattle. So it's a rattler that doesn't
Yeah,
rattle.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
it's probably just got the perfect amount of airlock in there to keep the color honest to the grade. And yeah, this is a phenomenal example.
So you were mentioning how none of these were previously known until you found one. Can I ask you how you found it?
I think there's a large amount of these coins that are unattributed out there. And this was before PCGS was assigning Newcomb varieties on the labels. So obviously at the OGH stage, they weren't really adding the variety attribution to the label. There's a lot of coins out there that are unattributed, and
Got it.
I find a lot of joy in attributing these coins. And I've studied Bob Grellman's book of late dates and his attribution guide, and that's something I would recommend as well. And we could talk about that later. But yeah, that is just an essential resource for finding rare die pairings like this one.
So there's a lot of gold out there, folks. Keep hunting
Yeah.
at your local coin shows. coins that are in older holders that are not attributed. We don't know what varieties they are and what die pairings and die states and so on and so forth. You might stumble upon the next finest known of whatever it is, a late date large set at your local coin show.
Yeah.
Make a lot of money, potentially.
Yeah.
All right, so it's 1855. I do see a little bit of a Planchet flaw, I guess, right there where that star should be.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, this comes out. I have trouble with colors.
Mm-hmm.
This comes across to me as a bit of a green kind of color to this coin. Am I mistaken there, or what am I looking at?
No, not at all. It is. I think this is a good descriptor of this coin is light olive.
Okay.
I'm not wonderful on the color descriptors of early American coppers, but in the early American copper grading guide, as EAC members have that, they have a diagram of every single color that these coins can turn. And so this is like a light olive, typical light olive color. And so this coin is the most proof-like coin that I own and that I've ever seen. I've seen proof examples of large cents that are less proof-like than this coin. The pictures don't really show it, only because of like the axial lighting used to photograph this specific coin. But if you take a different tilt to the lighting, which I probably could or should send you, it just highlights it looks like a proof essentially. And it's a really, really early die state coin. I think it's called the 12-star variety. And so there's 12
because of this missing star here.
Yeah. And so what it was is there was something clogging that star when they struck it. And so there's many examples known with this little star missing right above Liberty. And it's known as I think it's the 12-star, 11-star obverse.
I see.
Need to count my stars.
Yeah, because 13 stars probably represent 13 colonies, 13 original colonies.
Absolutely.
And last but certainly not least, and another absolutely amazing coin, and I would say one of my favorites here of this little series, because again, we have this incredible cameo effect here of this red right around the devices, that you have the brown, and then you have the main device here in brown, and you have this kind of like almost looks like light coming out behind Miss Liberty's head here.
Yeah.
So I like it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, I just have such a soft spot for 1857s because if you think back at this was the same style of coin that I bought as my first large cent. I bought a 1857 small date variety, which is what this is. These come in a small date and a larger date variety. And so this is a Newcomb 2. Newcomb 2 and Newcomb 4 are the small date varieties. This is just a lovely coin. I bought it from a good friend of mine, Steve Vesley. And he had owned this coin. He thought it was just lovely, and I could not agree more. It's like the combination of this like golden hour backlit to Liberty's profile, and then kind of creeping underneath the date, there's a little bit of like sea green, and then even onto the reverse, it's like there's just a little bit of like sea green, and then you get this nice mix of, again, this like golden hour mint color that's on both sides. And this was in an MS63 holder, and I think it's above that. So let's put it that way. So I have it raw currently and plan on sending it to cat grading.
Yeah, please do. And I would love to find out what it ends up grading at. Here, I'm going to make my effort here and probably make a mistake here, but I'm going to say, okay, because I shot way too high before. The coin is gorgeous, but I don't know. Obviously, this is a brown. I mean, I'm going to play it safe, and I'm just going to say MS65. I have to say 65.
Yeah.
Brown.
Yeah, I would love for this to be in a 65 brown CAG. I think it could be deserving of that. The other thing I want to mention too is 1857's small dates hardly ever come with fully struck stars. They're always very blunt.
Okay. Good to know.
And then same with the top of the crown or the cornet. It's always blunt and bluntly struck, even in I mean, there's red examples that exist that are just very blunt. And this is talking back to what we were saying before, is like, this doesn't take away from the eye appeal in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's just, this is just a beautiful coin overall.
So just to round things out, I've got just a couple questions for you, then we'll wrap. So from your perspective, what are some of the most common mistakes you see collectors make with large cents, especially newcomers to the series?
That's a good question. My mind immediately goes to toning. Recognizing natural versus artificial toning on large cents is very key. There's the EAC grading guide. If you're not an EAC member, I would recommend that you sign up, become an EAC member, educate yourself on grading early American coppers from the EAC scale of grading. The EAC scale is a little bit different than a traditional third-party grading scale, but it's a little harsher. But overall, like, becoming an EAC member, learning the grading scale and learning the colors that these coins can turn naturally is crucial, because there's so many coins out there that they have great eye appeal, they have great luster, but the color is not original. And there's a lot of things nowadays that are transforming the color of these early coppers that is fooling a lot of people.
Interesting. Well, I think I need to become a member of this EAC club just to find out about their grading scale. That's super intriguing to me. Could you give me a brief synopsis or highlights? Like, how is the EAC grading scale that much different from let's say, PCGS grading scale or CAC?
EAC scale is really, I should say, they take into consideration net grading much more. There's no details grades, but there's obviously there's a lot of net grading that goes on, because a good majority, if we're talking about early coppers, a good majority of early copper is details grade, because we're talking mass produced cents in the 1800s, which have been underground, that's been exposed to rain. The planchets were sitting out next to the factories, and the planchets aren't in good shape, so they have a lot of environmental damage. And so grading these coins at a net grading scale is really kind of essential, I think. And so, for example, if a coin has, VF details, they would grade the coin 30 net 15. If there's environmental damage, or if there's a scratch, or if there's, something going on there that's unnatural to the actual sharpness of the coin. You start to get up into the higher grades. 60 and above is what I try and hold my set to, as I try to collect coins above EAC 60 or above. The fine scale differences in mint state coins is really tough. So
can I ask you, where does this become relevant? Because the normal grading scale for like PCGS or CAC or NGC grading scale that we use it in the marketplace, gives us an idea, a barometer approximately of how this coin's quality compares relevant to other coins. And then we have price guides, we have auctions, we have a pretty good sense of the coin based upon its numerical grade. With this EAC grading scale, where is its kind of relevancy? I mean, what is the practical purpose of the grading scale? Do you understand my question?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it solely relies within EAC members, I would say.
Okay.
Because, for example, you're a dealer, you don't care about an EAC grade if it's in an NGC holder that's graded MS65, So just because a coin is MS65 or NGC calls a coin MS65, the EAC grade is not 65. I would say the majority of coins in 65 holders are floating around EAC MS60, 60 or above. It's a tougher grading scale for sure.
So if I'm smart, I need to learn the EAC grading scale. So if I have copper coins in my inventory and they're in a particular holder at an MS65 grade, I can confidently sell the coin to a copper collector and say this is an EAC 62 or...
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because I mean, I've sold coins that I've owned that I've since upgraded and whatnot. And you sell a coin in a 65 holder, and it's like, yeah, I don't care about what the holder says. This isn't a 60 coin. This isn't a 62 coin, as far as I'm concerned. There's 65 coins, 64 coins out there that are EAC AU50.
I see.
and that's just, yeah, it's just strict standards, and we like nice coins. So it's tough.
Got it. You need a coin you can take home to mom and dad and say, this is actually
Yeah. Yeah,
this is actually
exactly.
a 60 or above. Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay, so if people out there have questions for you, they want to reach out, they want to get into copper collecting, they have a coin that they need some help attributing, or they just want to pick your brain about something, how can somebody reach out to you and connect?
Yeah. My name's probably will be displayed here. So give me a follow on Facebook, or shoot me a message on Facebook. Same with Instagram. It's cackling_copper. Check the page out. Message me if you need help attributing a coin. I'd be happy to walk you through some steps on how to attribute them yourself further. And yeah, I'm always open to, buying anything that's nice. So
Cool. Hey, thank you so much for doing this. It's been, it was really great. Last minute, I really appreciate you
yeah.
helping out, and I'm glad it could work out. And enjoy Alaska and those ducks.
Oh, yeah.
And I definitely plan to stay in touch with you, man. And we'll chat some more in the future, and maybe do some business on the road. Get you some
Definitely.
EAC 62s. So, all
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Let me know anytime.
right.
Yeah. Great
Thanks a
talking.
lot.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. See ya.